Hey guys, welcome to the Saints TV Round 23 fan cams. We're going to get started. My throat is killing me. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. We've got Sammy first up. Yeah,
Jakey,
how's it going?
very good. How you doing, man?
Could be a bit better, mate, but the Saints have done their best to make me feel pretty good.
Yeah, what a decent game it was today. It was more an enjoyable one because we had nothing to really give ourselves a heart attack over, really.
Mm,
A bit
yeah,
of a light cruisy game.
yeah.
Um, but it was a good watch, and particularly just to watch Sharman. What an exciting little player we've scooped up there.
How did we even find him? Like, he was in the reserves. That's in the sample.
Yeah, I think you mentioned before on your other live. It was like how did an Adelaide team, for example, not recognize that there's some potential there, or seeing firsthand in the sample. But that's really like for me. I think that's a really good place to be and to have someone like a Shaman where we had no king today, and
Mm.
you kind of look at other games and you go, all right, we have no main king up forward, what are our options going to look like? And Sharman just came in and really, it allows Membry to kind of get up the ground a little more and still have a big marking target that
Yeah.
can kind of do the job. But that was really pleasing to see that today, wasn't it? What are you kicking
Yeah.
in? 4-2? 4 4
Uh,
1?
I think he's kicked 4-1, 6 marks, 7 score involvement. So he did more than just kick goals, which was the best part of it, really.
Yeah, his groundwork was real good. I thought Higgins as well. I don't know if you saw this as well, but I saw him play a little bit more midfield, kind of like he felt like he wasn't just staying in the 50 as a kind of lead up forward. He was really
Mm.
getting his hands on the ball and running through the middle a fair bit, helping out Zachy Jones, who I thought was really strong today. His
Yeah.
zip is really important, I think. And obviously, the skipper week in week out. He's so close to Lenny Hayes, and
That bloke.
he's just becoming so reliable and such an elite player that you know what you're going to get every single week. I think what did he finish with today? Like 36 or
30,
something.
35, 36. He's got this 7 tackles, but everyone wanted 8. Surely there's an eighth there somewhere.
I reckon in the last few minutes, I reckon there was about two that could have been
Mm.
given his way. I found an interesting stat just saw looking on Big Footy before, just talking about kind of our younger players. A lot of the exciting players that we're playing today are under 22. You
Yeah.
look at someone like a Shaman who's 20, Baital 21. What do you think of Baital's game?
I loved it. I thought he was really aggressive. When he kicks that ball so beautifully for goal.
Yeah,
And I love that about him because you think about like whether we lose Seb or Dunstan, looks like he's pretty much out the door, bags packed, he's gone.
yeah,
Um, you look at them and you think, well, yeah, they're inside mids. Bytel's a bit of an inside mid, but he looks like he can kick goals
yeah.
regularly. I mean, that was his first goal, but then his second goal. But he finds himself in that position where I think he can hit the scoreboard more than them, and that just makes us even stronger in the middle.
Yeah, and I think that's if he's going to get a consistent spot in the 22, I think he has to just add that to his game. The thing is,
Yeah,
I think he's 190 centimeters, if I'm correct. I think he's actually a
he's
big
big.
boy.
Yeah,
So if he is in the 22 and he builds on that forward craft a little bit, having him to be as an option, if we have to rest someone forward as well, whether or not it's Steele or whatever, but yeah, if he can start kicking goals, I don't think we're missing much. We've kicked 100 points today with no Billings or Dunstan, and you may as well include Ross in that because he didn't really touch the ball too much. I think we
nah.
technically won the game without the three of them.
He had what? What do you have? 14 in the end.
I think 14 touches. Like Brad Hill had more, and he missed a full quarter and a bit of football. Um, so look, I I think last week I said I don't miss Billings in the team. I think of the three of them, I'd be hoping to keep Billings and maybe move on from Ross and Dunstan. If they're not there next year, I feel like we have players that can sort of cover, especially Ross. If Bytel can be a direct replacement for Dunstan, even Burnsy could do some of the stuff Ross is doing.
Yeah, even when he came on, I thought his kicking was direct. He was exciting. Point of difference.
Yeah, big time. And I think our ball movement looked really good off halfback today. I mean, that was almost the difference. I think our transition from defense up forward, like a lot of our goals. I think they had a stat for that on the at around half time. We had kicked six goals or something just from the.
It was seven goals, 2 to I think 1 goal.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Signs. It reminded me of a bit of our pre-season football. Like when we were watching those pre-season games and those sort of scratch matches, we were moving the ball so freely and all of that. It reminded me of that, which I haven't seen a little bit of in parts this year. But yeah, I mean, who else caught your eye today? I mean, what do you think of Kent's performance? I reckon he's done enough to earn himself a little bit of a few games in the team next year.
Honestly, I reckon me and Marshy were just talking about Dean Kent for 2 hours on that stream before. Because we were just amazed that he was just in every contest. There was a passage where he was running towards, and I genuinely thought maybe he'd overrun it. And he's just picking it up, like, off his shoelaces and running. He just did some miraculous things in the game. But that adds a level of frustration because I'm like, as a team, why haven't we done this all year? And as a player, or certain players, why haven't they done that more? Yeah. And it's not like it was a dead rubber for us, but for Fremantle, it was a mini final to make finals, right? They had a lot to play for. And they played like they were the ones with the dead rubber, and we were the ones that needed to win and win a lot by a lot to actually make finals.
That was the most confusing part. Like, Fremantle were playing for a spot in the 8 today. And the way that the performance they dished up, honestly, you could not tell in the slightest. Even from the beginning, they didn't look like a team that knew that if they come away with the 4 points, their season continues. So that was confusing to see. But, I mean, what are you happier we got the win? Or is there any element in you that realizes draft picks positioning are a little lower?
Nah, I'm just of the belief that we need to build a winning culture. We need to just get that momentum, and to lose. If we had a lost, say the score was reversed and we lose by 50, would we all be sitting here feeling better that we've got better draft picks? Because I wouldn't. I would actually be here thinking, great, that's a shit end to a shit year. That's how I'd be feeling. Like, we're all emotional. I love that and the fact that we did it without King, we did it without Gresham, Patton. I thought it was good to get Hanbury 2 games to end the year, and he did pretty well. Yeah. I wanted Butler to kick a bag just because I felt like he was the one player all year that has struggled, and I felt like he needed a bag of goals more than anyone. But he still laid his 5 tackles. He did his pressure acts, but I don't know if that was enough. I'm happy with the result.
Yeah, and I think we're up and about. Like, if Freo got the job done today, we wouldn't be sitting here going, there's a bit of spring for us, and you're right. It's a positive note. Hopefully the players can be up and about, go into the preseason, with a win in the last game, and they looked like they had some fun today. I mean, we were putting goals on there in the end that I haven't seen St Kilda do that for ages.
Nah, we were having fun, and I said that in the review. That's the key takeout was that, and I know some of it probably has to be accounted for the fact that we knew that there wasn't much riding on the result for us, so we could just play. And I'm sure Rats just said that it's the last game of the year, boys. Just play on instinct, play fast, play your game, and that's when we're at our best.
Yeah.
We're not at our best when the pressure's on and things aren't going our way. And Fremantle really did nothing to piss us off, like Geelong. They didn't try and chip it around. They did nothing.
Yeah.
Um, there was no resistance.
I thought Caulfield's game was really good today.
Yeah.
Um, it's really good to see him slowly, like you can see those elements of last year in Cough come out in moments,
Mm.
and couldn't finish any better with him giving it to Akers on the goal line
I love
at the
that.
end.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'll
Blake
tell you
Acres got
what,
pinned a few times.
we like watching Akers today, and I'm not gonna talk shit about him, but I don't miss him, and he was the goat. You know, Akers
Mm.
was the goat for us, and he was such a promising player. But he played today, and he looked like an ex St Kilda player. Like he hit St Kilda players more than his own team, in
Well,
my opinion.
think about it. Has he or really any player apart from maybe Tom Hickey? I guess Nick Hind you could say, but not many of them have gone on to develop their own games. Like Blake Acres just looks like the same Blake Acres from Alan Richardson's team, just with a
Yeah,
different Guernsey on. Like,
yeah,
do you feel the same way?
yeah, 100%. Same
Yeah.
with players like I think,
Nunes.
yeah, Nunes is like the only, yeah, Nunes, Akers, and even I feel obviously Bruce
Hmm.
is picking up some form again, but I don't look at any of those players and go, damn, I wish they were still in a St Kilda jumper. You know, there's
Yeah.
nothing that ever sparks that, which goes to show that if you compare our team from that a few years back where our midfield was heavily based around Ross, you had players like Ross, Akers, Nunes, um,
Stephen.
Steven, a shit version of DMAC in the team. Like our list is so much better now,
Yeah.
week in, week out. You know that we are a better team than back then. But I really think there was a few players playing for their careers today. Like without
Who?
thinking, I feel like someone like Claverino had a decent game, but I felt like he would have went out into that game going, "I've got a chance here." Same with Bytel. I think Bytel, more importantly, he would have went into this game going, "This is my chance. Dunstan's been dropped. This is my chance to sort of cement myself in the
Hmm.
22." But you could also say the same thing for a player like Kent. Kent was up and about. He probably
Yeah.
realizes, his contract's up. Um, I would keep some of those players. What's your thoughts on Geary? Geary getting another go around.
Um, I wouldn't have done it if I was coach or if I was whoever is in charge of that stuff. I would keep him on as sort of a coach of sorts in a leadership position because that's what he's done pretty much for the majority of this year anyway. And then basically say, Steele, you are now the standalone captain. His season's deserved it. He's done all he can to lead this team. You're the captain. And I think that's the sort of hard calls that if you're really wanting to challenge and you're really wanting to go to that next level, some of those calls you need to make. And Carlisle, like Robertson, um, who was it, McKernan, those calls were kind of forced. You know what I mean? They've all
Yeah,
had injury issues. They were done in the end. We didn't really have to tell them. But with Geary, I feel like it's more out of sentiment.
for sure. It's if he plays if we play round one next year and Geary's lining up in the 22, I'll be slightly disappointed, to be
Yeah.
honest. Um, I read I read an article somewhere, or maybe it might have been just a comment online, but someone was mentioning that once when it came to the captaincy and kind of the main role, it was almost like someone was mentioning Geary found it hard to be the captain when Rui was around or something like that, knowing that there was
Uh,
kind of someone still who was like had that head honcho
yeah.
mindset and kind of was in charge of the group and was clearly the boss, but he felt kind of strange about that. And then it was almost like once Rui was gone and some of the other like bigger players, it made the job easier. not to say that that would happen for Steele, but I just think get Geary, away. Just say, Steely, it's so obvious you're the main man. Everyone knows it.
Hmm.
Let him be the sole captain. Move him on. Like Geary could play 2 games next year and break another leg. Like he's had so many injuries, but not little ones. They're always big
They're always
injuries
big. Yeah.
they take him out for month periods at a time. That if he takes the spot of a younger kid, I don't see there's any growth in that.
Well,
I would rather.
if Ben Patton's back and you've got Jimmy Webster, who's looking very good at the moment, love
Is
Jimmy's game. There's no Geary position.
No.
Anyway.
Well, how do you find spots? That's what I want to know, because there is, which is probably a good thing to have. There will be players that miss out due to competition for spots, which is something you want if you're going to be a good footy team. But there is certain players that, I think unfortunately someone like Benny Long might not get a game next year. He plays probably Highmore's role today when he's in the back line. If Highmore's fit, he plays today. You would imagine if Patton's fit, does he take Webster's spot? It could be because we haven't seen Patton all year, but I would have either. I can't necessarily say Patton's an instant spot taker over Webster at the moment. I don't know. I like both of them.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing. We got some competition.
It's a good problem,
spots.
And they're fairly young as well. It's not like not Geary, but Webster, Patton, these sort of guys. They're in their prime, or some of them getting into their prime. So the good teams have those problems.
I thought about a crazy, scary forward line today while Sharman was up and about. But I thought, wouldn't this be a crazy forward line full of young players, and also it would be very agile. But if the forward line was based around, you had half forward of Butler, Ben King, Sharman. Sorry. Yeah, Butler, Ben King, Sharman, and then Membry, Max King, Higgins. No, sorry. I've messed this up big time. One more set.
Come on, mate.
I'm struggling here. Sorry. Higgins, Butler, and Ben King.
Yep.
Gresh, Max King, Sharman. So that's obviously for a time when Membry's not around. Like if Membry's, it's kind of Sharman for Membry in a way. But Butler, Higgins, Gresh, Max King, Ben King, and either Sharman or Membry. You're looking at that, and that's a big forward line, man.
That's mobile.
Like height-wise, you've got Ben and Max King, and obviously Sharman and Membry can both jump, so any incoming ball is going to be very hard to stop. But then you've got a Smalls situation of Butler, Higgins, Gresh.
And maybe a resting row, depending on how our second ruck stocks go. So, or anyone else.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
Who's to say they're not thinking about those things already, They've probably got their 22 blueprint lineup ready to go with who we've got and then who they want and the gaps in the list. And they're just going to try and fill those gaps.
Yeah.
Just whether they can.
We'll still need to sort out the midfield a touch to make sure that those forwards can actually get their hands on the ball. But I think, like you said it last week, it's going to be a huge off-season, isn't it? Like, biggest in a while, I think you mentioned, just to get a few things in order and really make sure that we can come out next year and not have a start like we did this year.
We weren't prepared. We weren't ready for this year for some reason. It's like we thought there was another couple of weeks of preseason, and there wasn't.
Yeah, we just looked underdone. I just don't know how it happened. Like even the Carlton preseason game, we looked fast. We
Yeah.
looked like we were just going to have run and carry all year. Our game style was absolutely set, ready to go. And then we just scrape over the line with GWS, and then you know what follows. It didn't look that way. Something changed drastically. Um, but yeah, big off season, man. There's going to be what sort of changes are you expecting when it comes to coaches and stuff?
I don't know. Could be a. I feel like Aaron Hamill could change because I think he was meeting or he was rumored to had met with Carlton
Yeah,
previously, but that might change depending on if it was like a David Teague enforced idea for him to come in or not. So if they get a new coach and it's someone that isn't interested in Hamill, maybe he sticks around. But I think there would be a few changes. I would like to think so. I think Brendan Lade will stick around.
yeah,
He's been pretty good with Rats. Dave Rath's been good. I think there's only one or two that might change.
yeah. It's a couple of the assistants that have been around for a while, maybe
Yeah,
freshen it up a
exactly.
bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, it's a positive end to a bit of a rough season. I think we spoke about it last week, but you think about what happens. You think about what would happen if we just got over the line in some of those close games that we really kicked ourselves out of,
Yeah.
and it'd be a different story. But yeah, I guess we'll come back next year and do the same thing
Don't
over
say
again.
that.
Hey,
Don't say that. Oh,
I
I
know
hate that saying. I'm
it
gonna
feels
struggle
weird.
actually watching finals now. Like seeing
Yeah.
Melbourne get the minor premiership made me sick. I
Mm.
was I was very happy Geelong choked, but at the same time I'm like, if we go into next season with the longest drought in the league, it's not going to be a fun feeling.
I think I'm so keen to just not see Richmond, Geelong, West Coast win a flag. I'd
Yeah,
be okay if Melbourne do it, but you're right. If Melbourne get over the line, that's really bad. Like that's bad news for us, to be kind of the only team with a drought that bad. Um, but you know what? I also sympathise in a way. Like their fans would also understand they'd be in a similar position to us. If it comes down to a Melbourne grand final with either Port or the Bulldogs, I hate the Bulldogs with a passion. I could rant
yeah.
about my hate for the Bulldogs for a long time, but um, yeah, look, it should be okay. I mean, at least it'll be stress free. If we were in the finals, I'd have another heart attack scheduled for a week or two from now. So I guess we'll reload for next year and hope that did you hear Brad Johnson today in commentary talking up Freo, how much
I did.
better
I
they
commented
are?
on it and I said he doesn't know what he's talking about.
What an idiot! He is living. Sorry, St Kilda is living rent free in his brain from 2009 and
Yeah,
2010.
Yeah.
He
it's
yeah.
it's just the case of Fox Footy bias, and they were showing radar like stats of Frio's forward entries. Nothing. We'd kicked 7 straight in the last quarter. No mention of that. Just talk
Yeah.
about Freo missing Chera and
Sure, won't
Fife, and
even
that's
be
the
there.
difference. Yeah, I know he's
Sure, will
leaving.
be at
That's why he's not
Carlton.
playing. He's gone.
Yeah.
It's
Do
a
you think
straight swap.
that's?
Dunstan to Freo and Chera to Saints.
I'd take it. I'd take it.
Yeah.
I've heard Dunstan to the Gold Coast. I think that would suit them
Yep.
in a small way. But do you reckon that was the case? Rats knows Dunstan's gone and just all
Yeah.
right, no last game for you. There you
I
go.
reckon they would have had an exit meeting. I think they all had them. And yeah, Dunstan would have said thank you for the contract offer, but no thank you. I'd like to explore my options. And he probably already has an option in mind. And
Yeah.
then Rats has gone one up on him and just thought, see ya, you're not playing your last game. You're not gonna have a final farewell game.
Yeah. I thought
Yeah.
I was obviously we knew Jake Carlisle was gonna not be around. We saw that coming. But I wonder if there's more to it. I noticed that even with like Sean McKernan, this is me reading into it by the way, but with Sean McKernan's sort of goodbye post and things like that, there was at least comment from him. There was some public statements from him. All the players kind of shared, McKernan's goodbye post, but there's been
Mm.
nothing for Carlisle. Not one player that I saw anyway had even posted, a
Really?
photo with him saying, cheers Jake or thanks Jake. Not a single player.
I
So
thought Paddy would have done that. Didn't they play together at Essendon as well?
I believe so.
Yeah.
So I think that there might be something deeper than that. I mean, we know about the issues last year with sort of him going home, but I mean, surely that's not enough for, a career of football to not be,
No.
had a single word
Yeah.
said about it. But anyway, I've chewed your ears off again for another half an
That's
hour.
all right, mate. Always
So
good.
I won't keep you anymore.
It's
But
it's the last one for the year, so it's
I know
good to
it's
talk about a
sad.
win at least. It is
What are we
sad.
gonna, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do for a full off season, not worrying about St Kilda?
Well, to be fair, mate, I can't not. I have to I have to do my
Yeah,
best to get up and think about it every day and get ready for some off season videos, which should be exciting. So
you're a,
um,
you're a hopeless tragic like the rest of us, Jakey.
yeah, we're all the same. We're all the
We
same.
are. Oh well, maybe as we say at the end of every season. Oh well, on to next year.
Yep. On to next year, mate. On to next year. It'll happen. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. All right. Well, you have a good rest of your arvo and go Saints.
You too, mate. Thanks for joining. Go
Cheers,
Saints.
Jakey. Take it easy,
See you,
man.
Sammy. All right. That was Sammy. Now we've got Lockie. Let's get Lockie on, have a chat. Hey,
G'day.
Lock.
G'day. Yeah, well, good game to watch. Really good. A lot of the young players were playing very well. Like Vital and Burns even was coming on for a little bit and played really well.
Yep.
But yeah, what would be your overall thoughts of the young guys?
All of them fit into the 22 really well. Not one
Yep.
of them looked like they didn't deserve to be there. Some
Yeah.
teams blood players, and we've done it before, and
Mm.
they're too skinny, they're too slow, they're too scared, and our boys don't
Yeah.
look scared at all.
Yeah, you're right. 100%. Yeah, well, overall the game was just really good. And just to touch on Steele, they actually changed it from 7 tackles to 6 now. So he
What?
actually didn't tie it. He's one less
Oh, you're
on the
kidding. Just
stats.
give it to him.
I
He
know.
could. Oh, man. I bet you they'll do that to him on Brownlow night.
No,
He'll
they
get
gave him
2
the extra
votes or
disposal though.
something. Did they?
Yeah, he got 36. Which isn't bad, but I wouldn't be surprised if Rowan Marshall or someone just pinches 3 votes. But yeah, great game by all of them.
I really hope not. Would you happy that the boys lifted and ended the year on a high like that?
Yeah, of course. Like I think everybody would be. I wouldn't want to go into the year knowing that we lose. Basically, every year we lose like this. If we don't go into finals, we lose, and we don't compete. But yeah, like the players like Dean Kent and you said, like not really Seb Ross, but mostly Dean Kent was probably one of the standouts. They have their career on the line, and he stood up and he was kicking goals from 50 out, which was really impressive.
Do you think he'll be at the club next year? Are there players? I mean, we talked about it with Sam just before, but what's your thoughts on who played their last game and who still has a chance of staying at the club?
Well, I think Ross has played his last game. If like
Mm-hmm.
you guys were talking about on the watch along, you guys were saying that usually players, whenever they get delisted or they don't and such, they aren't really up and about in their last game. If you look at the song, he wasn't like getting up and about like everybody else was, but Dean Kent was, I was like, he might be offered a 1-year contract extension because he's had a good last 3 weeks. He's kicked like 7 goals or something, so he's been really good over the past 3 weeks, and he just needs to have that consistent form for him to actually be in the lineup. And yeah, I don't reckon Dunstan, I don't reckon Loney either, but I reckon Kent will stay.
Yeah, you reckon Kent's going to stay
Yeah,
and
I've
Lonie's
changed my
going to
mind,
go?
I reckon. Yeah.
Just off the back of that 50-meter bomb from Dean Kent.
2 50-meter bombs. You got to remember
Two,
that.
yeah. Well, that's 3 Brownlow votes there in anyone's book.
No, but
Off,
he
yeah,
wasn't just offensively, he wasn't just doing all the work. He was doing
yeah,
a lot defensively as well.
yeah. I'm going to look at the stats here. I just want to go to the very bottom and let's see. So Paul Hunter, 4
Yeah.
disposals. Ben Long, 6 disposals, but he had 6 tackles.
Yeah.
Do you reckon he did his job then?
Well, I mean, if he was he playing a role on anybody? Was he playing on
I'm
Switkowski
not
or
sure.
something? I
I
don't know.
found him. I think there were times where he was spotted in the back 50, so he might have been on someone like a Collier, maybe like a
Yeah.
small for
Or
Freo.
Liam Henry. Yeah.
Liam Henry.
Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't be too surprised. But yeah, I'm Ryan Burns only played 22% of the game because he came with a medical sub and he got 7 touches, which is really impressive. So if you actually were to add that up, that's like 28 disposals if you were to play full game, 28, 29.
And he went at
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
100% of efficiency.
Wow. Yeah. We've got some really good young players. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I
is
was
that?
thinking I was probably
Yeah,
thinking round 5 this year. I was probably like, who we've really got coming in who's actually given us depth or something. But yeah, this back half of the year has been really impressive.
well, with all the youngsters have really blossomed the second half of the year. Bytel got his injection in the first 6 or 7 games, which was unfortunate because that's when we were playing at our worst. We didn't really get to see him at his best. And then the second half of the year, Connolly, Burns get going. And then the last 4 or 5 weeks, Sharman. So
Yeah, Sharman, mate. I was in the game when Anthony Hudson said your line, the greatest Sharman. That was funny.
yeah,
Just saying your line.
I got so many messages after the game being like, mate, are you actually Sharman in disguise? I'm like, I'm not Sharman. I look kind of like him, but I don't look exactly like him. But I'll take the credit after a performance like that.
Yeah, rising star nom surely. Key forward doesn't get 15 disposals. That's Buddy Franklin like there. So
Is that what he got in the end? 15?
yeah.
No,
And same
geez.
with Membry, he got 16.
Yeah. Well,
Obviously, Rowan Marshall.
Marshall had a big one. And that was an important one too because he had a down game last week and we talked about it against Stanley, and then he comes up against I think Darcy, but Darcy, did he get injured? He didn't finish the game, did he?
Yeah, I think like
John
halfway through
Darcy?
the second quarter, he was like really heavily strapped, and then they basically just put him forward for the whole game. They had Floyd Meek in the ruck, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was Sean Darcy was basically on one leg the whole game.
Yeah. Does this result, although it's a good end to the year and we can all look on to 2022 with a bit of optimism, does it still does it just sting a little bit to be like, well, if we had have played like that against Carlton, we would be in the 8 right now.
Or Adelaide too. Yeah, like you say on the podcast, imagine like if we had Zach Jones or Gresh against Adelaide, like I reckon we would have scraped it. But
Yeah.
well, we can't look in the past; we have to look in the present, as per. But
Very wise.
it's just,
But we are
yeah,
Saints fans, mate. We always look in the past. Are you not going to look at 2009 and 10 highlights at all this preseason?
Oh, of course, but like, I kind of like, I kind of just try and like forget about footy for a little bit because like you get really, I don't know, for me, I get really overworked about it, and then you're just like looking in all this like possibilities and all these like things that can happen, and it's just like I'm quite grateful that cricket comes on because it's just relaxing.
No, I agree. If I stayed on big footy longer, it'd drive you nuts.
Yeah, when you mentioned with Sam about big footy, I checked it out. It's like, yeah, I've never seen it before.
Really? I thought
No,
maybe
never.
you created it or something.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if Sam did, to be honest.
It's a massive community of all these AFL boards that you can go on and chat. So recommend it.
And I was looking at the Phantom draft, or the draft board and everything, prediction.
Mhm.
And like this year, it seems as if we talk about the draft, it seems as if it's like if you got a top 30 pick, you're probably guaranteed a first 18 player if you were to develop them really well. It seems because of last year not having many Vic players being able to play.
Mm.
And this year's draft apparently has got a lot of depth because of that.
Yep.
And you look at the top 5, they're all similar. Like obviously Nick Dacos is a standout, but the top 5 seems very, very tight knit with a lot of the players, and there's not just midfielders. There's quite a bit of diversity in the past month with Mac Andrews and Josh Gibcus and all that, and what's his name, Sam Darcy.
Sam Darcy.
So so I reckon just it's not like the NBA or stuff like that, or the NFL, where if you have a top 10 pick, you've got a really good player. But in the AFL, it's a lot different with the depth and everything. So I'm quite excited. I hope we get something good.
So you would definitely use the first round pick. You wouldn't trade it. You wouldn't split it for more picks at a later point.
I wouldn't be surprised if we split it, to be honest, with just the depth of the drafts. Like, we're probably going to get pick now 9, probably, I'd say 9 or 10, depends with compensation and that. But if you look at Richmond and that, they've got really good picks as well and stuff like that. And I reckon if we can just split our pick and maybe get like 15 and something else. Like, mate, if Richmond see someone they really like and they want to move up, we could split our picks with them. Who knows? But because I think they've got like 14 and like 18 or something.
And we've got the academy boys too, yeah?
Yeah, there's no need to.
There's 2 there.
Not pick them up.
Unless they go top 10. Unless they like bolt and break into the top 10, then we could lose them with the new rules, I think.
Yeah, I feel bad for Demons fans with that Mac Andrews bloke.
Yeah.
He's bolted up top 20.
Of course, they changed the rules after Bulldogs get Jamara.
Yeah, I just hate that. I was like, because I remember at the draft last year, and there was a lot of hype around our academy boys, and like there was some saying that they could bolt up to be top 20 picks.
Yeah.
And after that rule, it just seems really annoying because now the Bulldogs get Sam Darcy because he's father's son, which just even pisses me off even more.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, when will we probably have a father-son player come in?
I know we've got Tyson Milne. Doesn't he play at Sandy?
I don't know. Maybe.
Tyson Milne, he plays for Sandy in the VFL at the moment.
Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah. Like, it's just really interesting to see if we get any father-son players, because I feel like over the past few years we haven't really had that academy or player like that. I mean, like Max King and Ryan Burns, they were involved with the academy and they were kind of guaranteed to come because of that. But other than that, Jack Whitehall was never involved.
No.
And either was Connolly.
Yeah, we've done it the hard way, but hopefully we've set things up now so that we've got some youngsters now, but we can get some more. Maybe trade in for a new mid. There's still players out there that we can trade in that are good, but I think the bulk of our work probably would be at the draft. Yeah,
I preferably would not. I would want to stay away from Chera because, Freo are going to be really harsh on what they want for him, and as well as that, it's just we've got Bartel and Burns coming through, so I just don't feel like there's any need.
Yeah, and you saw how they treated us with Brad Hill, how hard they made it. So
exactly.
They're not easy. Is it Peter Bell? He's still there?
Oh, yeah, I think it is, yeah. He's
hard to deal with. He tries to create hard bargains that never work out.
I mean, he didn't get a bargain at all. Actually, did his pick come out to be Sarong? I think it was, wasn't it?
Maybe, yeah. So they benefited pretty well because he's a star.
Not from Acres, really.
No.
But, yeah. Yeah, and talking about the youth in the commentary, oh, my God. Of course, Fremantle are going to have a good midfield. They've been rebuilding for 6 years. And they've been they've got Brayshaw, Sarong, Chera, but Chera's going to leave. But if you were to look at that a year ago and go, oh my God, that's one of the best young midfields in the league with your Gold Coast and Swans. But we haven't invested in the draft in the past 5 years heavily, except in 2018 and was it in 2017. So like,
Yeah.
I just don't see why they would make the comparisons like that. It just seems pretty unfair.
That's what they do, mate. That's what they do. But before you go, give me your one word that describes season 2021 as best as you can. One word that summarizes how you feel about the year.
I'm trying to think. If you gave me time, I'd go on thesaurus and search a word up, but no. I don't know. I could say inconsistent, but like I'd just say, yeah, I can't really think. Inconsistent. So I'd probably say lazy, to be honest.
Lazy. That's
Yeah, just
season
because,
2020.
just like thinking we're going to win games that they're actually going to be a challenge and then turning up. It's basically our season's like leaving your homework to the last minute of like 11:59, then submitting it. That's how our season felt like.
Yeah, that's a fair call. Yep, not prepared.
Exactly. Like, yeah, you were saying the same with Sam, not prepared. And yeah, I just don't feel like we got much we didn't get much view into our preseason like we did in 2020 and 2019. Like, remember AFL had the post about preseason, and then we had the March, which only lasted like 2 or 3 episodes. But like they actually had involvement in the preseason, but the season where they don't do anything, we disappoint.
Well, hopefully this year we can just hit the track and focus on the footy, and that's it.
Yeah, and who was that Hayden McLean bloke? Was he like
Sydney.
how old is he?
I think he's 22.
Oh yeah, is he like
he's
a prospect or?
Yeah, he's a very good mold. He was part of our training regime, I think, a couple of years ago, or Sandy potentially, and we didn't take him, and Sydney took him, and he's been really good. He's growing every game. So
yeah, well, Sydney have got big problems with their contracts and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully we can pounce.
Yeah. I mean, that's just what you got to do when we're pushing up the ladder. So just pounce on players.
Exactly.
Anyways, thanks for having me on again.
That's all right, mate. Have a good off season. We'll hopefully chat to you next year.
Cheers, Jackie.
Cheers, Lucky. See ya. All right. Thanks for waiting, everyone. We've got, I think, 4 more to go. So we've got Max, Mo. Who else? We've got Django and Catherine. So we'll go through Max now. G'day, Max.
Hey, Jackie. What's up?
Not much, mate. Just getting through the last round of the year. How are you feeling?
Oh, confused, as I think all Saints fans are. Yeah, just, of course, it's the one game we pull up. You know, we play and smack them by 60, but means absolutely nothing. So,
yep.
So it's typical Saints, isn't it?
You're leaning on you're a bit more upset about the result than happy with it? Is that how you're feeling?
Not necessarily. I came into it very neutral.
Yep.
But I think it's at least a good way to cap off the season, no doubt. I was happy though that we saw probably the last time of Seb Ross. So that always brings a smile.
You're not a big fan of Seb, are you?
Oh, mate, it's just when you have him, but you've got guys that Burns and Bytel that sort of miss games, and Connolly, it's like, why don't we just play them?
Yeah.
There's no other reason or explanation as to why we're playing Seb Ross other than, I guess, put him on the market, let everyone sort of see where he's at, which is, I guess, the only explanation to why he was playing this year.
Yeah, and I guess that's the same argument with Dunstan coming back into the team. And to just give him that exposure, had those 3-4 really good games. We're all like, shit, maybe we should keep him. And then he doesn't play today. And it's like, probably because he's told the club, I'm not going to sign that contract you gave me. I think I'm going to get more money elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. When he was at the Richmond game, he had 30-something and a goal. All the media was saying, oh, why is he not playing? Well, this is, sort of inconsistency. This is why he's not playing, as well as other guys. I know they turn up when they want to, and it's few and far between when they have their good games and when they don't. So there's not really anything we can do about it. The training, that's just something that they're born with.
And when you think about our next premiership team from today, Can you see a lot of those players being part of that team?
Yeah, there's definitely a fair few. I'd say there's about 16 that played today that would be on a premiership team, if not a contributing throughout the season. I love guys like Vitel. I love seeing him. I don't know how he slipped us at pick 41 or pick 42 in that 2018 draft class, 2017, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Sharman's looking like a amazing mid-season recruit. There's just a lot of young guys that have played, 5, 6, 8 games this year, and they're doing bits for us. They're all just sort of having little bits of, I guess, their own version of how to play footy is. Whereas a lot of our older guys, they don't really show that anymore. Which is good to see though, when we do play those younger guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like, and I probably agree with you that the main disappointment from this year was, I guess, the lack of leadership and consistency from a lot of the senior boys. The players that have been around for 10 years that should know how to play AFL football and make it look easy. But then we've got players that have played 4 games come in and look better than them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's like we get a lot of sort of slack for not having a lot of depth on our team, but this year was all about playing our depth. We never had a best 22 in, so I guess maybe it's sort of Saints tradition that we're a bit inconsistent, but that's, I guess, maybe a reason as to why our best was at the top of the list and at the ladder, and our worst was, with Adelaide and with Hawthorn and stuff like that. But I think next year when we get Gresham, we get a lot of those guys back that can sort of slot right into our best 22. And then we've got guys that probably on the fringe right now, they can step up for a game or two. Like, we're going to be looking very, very good going into next year.
Yep. So that's what we're going to think about now, isn't it? Next year, and how we prep for that, what we do in the off season. Obviously, Seb Ross, you think, is gone. Dunstan probably gone as well. Billings, I guess I don't think we'll get rid of all of them, despite what some people think. I think 1 or 2 will stay, maybe.
I think I know we were in contract negotiations with him. I think if we're paying anything more than 600 to 650 for Jack Billings, we're doing us a disservice. He's not. I've never been a big fan of Jack Billings just because, as you guys have said in the podcast, he doesn't have a position. We've tried him everywhere on the ground. It's like, well, if you're going to be paying anything more than 650, 600, you have to have a position and be bloody good at it, if that. So we'll probably re-sign him, but I don't see him on a long-term deal, or at least that's what I hope.
It wouldn't surprise me if Hannah's, the talk of Hannah's taking that pay cut is to fund a bit of money. Maybe we will pay him that money just to keep him happy, but we'll say that it's going to be on a 1-year deal or 2 max. And after that, if you're not performing, it's going to be a big pay cut for you or you're gone. I'd love to put that pressure on the player because he's had long enough to deliver.
Oh, absolutely. We've given him multiple chances, and he had every game basically. He played under the Richo era, and then I think he played every game last year, and apart from his foot this year, he played every game that he was healthy. It's like he's been given every opportunity at the club to succeed, and he hasn't really shown some of that, especially compared to the guys that got drafted in the same draft class as him.
Yeah. Next year, 2022, fully fit team. We've cleaned out the list a little bit. Those players are gone. We've got some youngsters in, maybe drafted a player or traded in a player from another club that complements our list. How do you see the season for us? How are we going?
Hopefully it's an injury-free season to the best of our abilities, because that's, I think, when we speak about coaches or departments of staff that sort of need to have a deep look in conditioning coaches. I think they need to, or the review that happens need to, sort of be looked into, because we've had so many injuries. Just even having injuries to Sean McKernan and Josh Battle and Mason Wood, like guys that are supposed to be our reserves, like they haven't been able to play. So when King or whoever it might be goes down, there's no one there to step up. Luckily, we drafted, Cooper Sharman during the mid-season draft, and hopefully Max Heath next year is going to be, plays a couple games just to get his toes wet.
Yeah. And Dean Kent's game today?
Good, but he's not in the best 22 next year. It's good to know that he can perform like that, though, if we need him next year. And I think that's what good teams do. They have guys that can step up just every so often that aren't in their best 22. They can have a couple standout games. I do like his size, though, as a small forward. He's a big dude. He's going to lay, some harmful tackles or give a few hits that the opposition are going to take a second to stand up from. Which is also why I love guys like Ben Long and Dan McKenzie. They may not get 20 disposals or 15 disposals and a lot of good kicks or handballs, but they're going to hit someone. We saw that when Ben Long went into the forward line. He's going to hit someone. Did that to Brayshaw today. Brayshaw took one right to the ribs. So did Dan McKenzie to I think was it Meek? One of their big boys on the flank. It's like little dudes like that they're gonna hit someone, and we need that physicality every single week. They
remind me of Liam Picken for Bulldogs. He was a smaller guy, and he was always just a trooper, just a classic soldier. He did his job. It wasn't amazing, but he played hard, tough footy, and the Dogs loved him for it. And then he bobs up in a grand final and plays like the best game he's ever played. I could picture like a Dan McKenzie or a Ben Long doing that, where they just chug along in a year, they do their job, but then there's just a critical moment in a big game and they deliver, like a once-in-a-lifetime type thing. I just feel like they could do it. Yeah. No, it's exactly what, their sort of role. I don't even know if you would call it a role. They could just pop up and do it. Yeah. I like that. Or actually, maybe not like, but who would you see sort of taking that physicality approach if they're not consistently in the best 22 next year? Who do you think steps up and just lays those hard tackles and hits every single week? That's a good question. I think without them at the moment, I think we went a few weeks without them, and our intimidation levels just dropped without them, which was a worry. I think Jack Bytel could really throw his weight around. I think he's got the angry pills, but he controls them. Like, he wants to smash blokes, and he's big already. He's over 6 foot. He's 90 kilos. He's a big boy, right? And he's only going to get bigger potentially this offseason as well. He could do it. I try to look in our backline if there's anyone there. Dukes, but probably not. Steele, nah. Like, there's not many angry blokes in our team. Battle, if he plays, he likes to throw his weight around,
Yeah, I wonder what we're going to do with him, because we've got so many big forwards, just big boys in our forward line. Yeah. A lot of key forwards, and I hate seeing him on the wing. He's all right in the back line, but that's not where he thrives. He's a centre half forward, or play him out of the goal square every once in a while. So I wonder if he's one of those guys that may look elsewhere just so he can get games as that key forward for another team.
Could we play? Is it even possible to play Max King, Battle, Membry, and Sharman in the same forward line? Or is that too tall? I
think it's too tall. One of them would have to be constantly floating between the 50s, and I think that would be Membry in an ideal world. But if we play with those four, you already know it's going to be Josh Battle just doing the running in between.
You're right. Yeah. And I guess I wonder if Sharman, although he's had a great start to his career, like he's done more than what we could have expected from him. Is he going to be in the round 1 team next year when everyone is fully fit?
I don't think so. Yeah, and I think that may be a big call now, but when we get those guys back from injury, I don't think it's going to be a very easy decision, but I don't think he's going to be in that team, or at least straight away. He's only played 5 games. And he hasn't had a preseason yet, so we got to sort of see how he's like during 3 months in the off season of just pure training.
Yeah.
Which is good though, because at least we've got guys that can compete for spots. We don't have just one person on a flank that we have to rely on every week, or in the guts. We've got a couple people now that are going to come up and I don't know, really make it tough at selection table.
Yeah. And I mean, to me, I keep forgetting Hunter Clark's been out for the best part of the second half of the year, and Gresham's missed so much football. To have him back, would you play Gresham as a dedicated small, or would he go into the guts?
No, guts. Absolutely.
Guts, you like him there?
He's got speed, and that's a little, besides for Jones, there's not really much speed inside the mid.
Yeah.
However, where would you be playing Clark when he comes back to the team?
I don't know, man. Like, he's not. He hasn't really jumped out to me as to be ready for that midfield position, like with Steele, and we all thought maybe that's where his evolution will take him, but it hasn't really eventuated that way. And halfback, you're like, Brad Hill's going to probably be there at times. Sinclair kills it at halfback. You're not going to mess that up. He's bloody. We haven't talked about him much today, but bloody hell, it's because we know what we're going to get from him, like Steele. He and Sink's just super consistent, but Hunter Clark, that's an interesting one. Where does he go? Because I don't know.
I don't like him at halfback, purely because he's got way too good of foot skills on both sides of his body to be playing at halfback. And I guess that sort of only leaves him inside the guts. But if he's fit enough, why don't we play him on a wing? Just let him have those inside 50 kicks, because then that frees up another spot in the back line. And I'm hoping Hill next year comes out of that back flank, comes up onto the other wing. Leaves us room for Highmore, Caulfield maybe if he wants to. Gets a game. We could maybe sign another key defender. I think that's one of the big team needs this off season. Even if they're not going to play every game, just have someone like a Daniel Talia to be there if we need him.
So you'd be open to Daniel Talia?
Yes, just purely because we need someone in case Dougal Howard goes down, or if there's someone that wants to play three big tools like a West Coast, or anyone that sort of wants to play three big tools. Wilkie's not really going to be able to take that second tool every single week, even though he does do a good job of it from time to time.
That's always our kryptonite, isn't it? When we play the Geelongs, we play the West Coasts, these sort of teams that have the big forward lines, we're just like, we'll battle hard, we'll try, we'll get close, but in the end, if they get so many inside 50s, we're just screwed. And it happened last week. That's
why I think we're so good against teams like Sydney that are in the 8. They've only got one big tool. Up until, I don't know, Port Adelaide got Georgiades. Now Georgiades is sort of the separator between us and Port. When we play them, we can deal with teams that have got one keys forward because we've got Dougal Howard. I love Dougal Howard. But yeah, we definitely need someone that can just take play 10 games in the year maybe, just against those Geelongs or whoever it may be. Take a little bit of pressure off of Wilkie and Howard. Yeah.
Well, like I asked Lockie before, you give me one word that describes season 2021.
Normal.
Normal. That's a good one.
Unfortunately, it's a normal season. We're so up and down that it's nothing that we're not used to. But having finals right there within arm's reach that's why it's frustrating for so many fans.
Yeah, man.
But if we're 14th on the ladder, that's just a normal season. Beat a couple of teams in the top 8, lose to a couple in the bottom 4. Sort of way the cookie crumbles with the Saints.
Yeah, but we saw Melbourne, right? Melbourne a couple of years ago. They were up, came down. Now they're minor premiers, man. Like, they're laughing at the moment. So it's unbelievable what they've done. So if we can do something similar to that, I'll be pretty happy.
Oh, absolutely. And hopefully when COVID's over, or not, maybe not over, but we get fans back at Marvel and we can cheer on the boys. Because So I think
Big
that is
difference.
something that we've missed this year. Just being able to see them. I don't know if you went to the West Coast game, but the arena
Yeah,
was
it was unbelievable.
That was ridiculous. Like I've never been to I couldn't sleep the night of that game just because of all my ears were still ringing. But yeah, I think just having the crowds back and knowing that next season, that's sort of maybe not make or break, but if we don't make finals, that's a real big problem for the footy club.
Yeah, Rats will be under pressure then at the end of next year if we don't make it. Right now, I think we can all say things just didn't go our way and we gave ourselves a chance, but at the end of the day, we just didn't deserve to make it.
Yeah.
But next year's the year. That's when we need to push.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, mate. Thanks for joining. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday night, and hopefully next year we'll be talking about a lot more wins.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, Max. See you, mate.
See ya.
All right. Oh,
Jakey, how are you?
I'm pretty good, mate. How are you going?
Not too bad. I don't know what else I can say. I mean, these conversations have been quite thorough, and
yeah,
it's almost like an internal review in itself so far. So I don't know. There's not much else to cover, but happy with the win either way. Again, typical Saints fashion. We, season's over and we produced probably, I reckon, probably apart from the Hawthorn game, one of our most, if not our most dominating win and certainly game of the season. So, typical Saints, but it was just enjoyable to watch, and I think a bit of that was also due to the fact that we had nothing to lose. There was no, we have to win between like 50 and 100 points to make finals, or if we if we lose we can't make finals or whatever. It was a nice relaxing time to just sit on the couch and regardless of a win or loss just be relaxed and have the heart rate down watching the last game of the season. So on that note, it was pleasing.
Yeah, I agree. It's good to just sit back and see the boys have a bit of fun, kick a lot of goals, kick straight too.
Yeah, exactly.
And put a team to the sword that wanted to make finals, and in the end, they didn't really deserve to, did they? That's the reason why they missed out. They couldn't beat us.
Yeah, well, I think that was. I say we have nothing to play for in terms of finals, but in a way we did. We ended Freo season. So that was something that, I doubt would have been spoken about, but, in the back of the boys' minds, I'm sure that would have been a good incentive for them going into the game. We can end someone else's season and, perhaps finish higher than them, which we did. And so, from that aspect, it was pleasing. And I guess it's also, or for me, I love it that we've finished higher than Richmond, which is amazing.
Yeah,
So
I haven't actually looked at the I haven't had time to look at the ladder or anything since this morning.
I mean, we're equal ninth. West Coast have got us by about 1.5%.
Yeah, you're right.
So finishing above Richmond, I'd take that as a win for the year if we can't make finals.
Yep, Essendon are 5 goals up, so they'll most likely win anyway. Yeah. So that'll mean we're a game and a bit of percentage out of the 8.
Which, I mean, looking at that, I think that we should be reasonably happy with that result in the end. Because that first half of the year, we know how inconsistent and how shit it was. So to really put that into perspective and say, well, we're percentage and a game or possibly half a game outside of the 8. If you'd said that to me in round 8 this year, I would have said, yeah, sure, I'll take it, But it was good as well, just getting a bit of pride back into the boys as well. We had, as we've all said, it was just fun and the boys looked like they were enjoying it. And, it was a pleasing effort to round out the season, I thought. So,
and there's no bittersweet feeling towards it. The fact that they could have done this against Carlton, they could have done this against Adelaide, and we would be talking about an elimination final next week? None of that. You're all happy.
There's definitely a bit of bittersweet and a bit of disappointment that's come along with it. But that's been taken away from me just to see how we won and the way in which we did it. I loved the amount of run we were able to generate off our defensive 50. They constantly were showing the stats of that, and I think we kicked like 17 goals or something for the game. I reckon maybe 12 or 13 of them would have come off us coming out of our defensive half and streaming forward with the ball and everything. So that was really pleasing. And one thing I did notice and I really liked is, and despite it took the whole season to get to this point, but today was the first game where I saw Jack Steele had a bit of anger about him. I don't know. I don't know if you saw that or if anyone else did, but quite a few times when he'd get tackled or, he would be the one applying the pressure or doing the tackling, he would often, bump into the opposition players and, get a bit rough with them, which I thought was really good on his end to, just, I guess, stamp his authority on the game and show the boys that, hey, we're going to show our fans, some hope going into next season. I found that really, really, really pleasing. So it was a good part.
I think that was partly because he was getting tagged at least at the start of the game.
Yeah,
that young kid was on him and just pushing him, just trying to piss him off, basically. In the end, Steele's had 36 touches, gets another 3 votes. He's untaggable. The guy, you can't tag him. He's too good.
Yeah, I know. And I think that the fact that he's able to generate two-way running makes him untaggable. Most midfielders, you look at like Bontempelli. I mean, maybe not Bont because he's just had an outstanding season, but players like Clayton Oliver or like Darcy Parish, Ollie Wines, these type of midfielders, they've got really good brute force going forward, but going back the other way, I think that's where Jack Steele really elevates himself. And probably the only other midfielder I can see getting any close to him in terms of the two-way running and the defensive style as well as the attacking style is probably Took Miller, because I think he's also like second or third in the tackling, which shows his defensive actions and everything. So I think he's such a good player, and he definitely, his defensive half makes him untaggable. So I think I'm hoping we can keep him for as long as we can, because knowing us, we've done some pretty dumb trades in the past. So I'm
There's
hoping,
no way they've got to lock him up, throw the key away.
Yeah,
he can't go anywhere.
But then Cooper Sharman again. I'm really beginning to love this guy. He's shown a lot despite only playing 5 games. It's weird to talk so highly of someone, especially of his, I guess, build and nature. He's not physically imposing like, say, someone like a Membry or someone, but he's got that athleticism and he's got that confidence in him from the start, which is really, I think, helped him in what he's been able to produce for us. And I think I reckon there is a spot for him next season. I think he could be. I want to see him in the starting 22, but I think he could, be someone that he seems pretty consistent. So I think he's someone that we can rely on. Just if we're struggling in a 2-3 week patch, we can put him on. Maybe take Membry off, or if Battle plays, take Battle off for a rest or something, and we can rely on Cooper Sharman to get the job done and kick a couple goals a game. So that's quite pleasing as well.
So you're pretty optimistic about 2022?
I mean, going into this season, I was optimistic, but look what happened. So no, I'm optimistic, and I think a long preseason, and the boys will take a couple months off now, have a bit of family time and just time with each other. But not footy related and not so serious. So, you know, hopefully they can relax after what's been quite a long year and a roller coaster ride. So I think a lot of the boys will benefit from this break and then getting back into preseason, hopefully with less injuries this time. I know that I saw Ben Patton a couple of weeks ago just started running again or something.
Yeah, great signs.
Yeah, so hopefully, you know, we can get back out there pretty quickly and, you know, go hard for the preseason. But I really hope we go hard because that's where it starts. You know, we have to start with a very hard, serious preseason, and you know that's where it ultimately starts. And I'm hoping we can carry that momentum into next year, which we did in the preseason games, but then we dropped off for some reason. But yeah, I'm fairly optimistic, and hopefully a few recruits here and there can help us elevate ourselves even more. So yeah.
Give me your word to describe the year.
I reckon mine's going to be a bit unusual, but I'm going to say Steel.
Yep.
Steel is our year. Steel.
Fair call. I like it.
That has, you know, a few connotations. Steel the player, obviously, but then I think Steel in terms of, you know, the actual element Steel. We've been able to hold up quite well throughout the year through all of our adversity and, you know, all the challenges we've had, and that's been led by Steel. So, you know, I think that's a good word, and, you know, I think we definitely wouldn't be where we are now without him and without his presence. So, you know, I think he's really summed up our season. Mate,
you made me feel very happy to be a Saints fan now. You're full of optimism. Now I'm excited for next year already. So I appreciate that. Appreciate you joining.
No worries. Yeah,
hope you had a good birthday too, by the way.
Yeah, thanks for the message. That was unexpected. I did not think that would be coming up, but, you know, thanks for that. So it was a good day and a good message from Stevie Baker as well.
How good is that?
Which was unreal. So, you know, I messaged him on Instagram and he said no worries and all that. So it was
that's awesome.
Pretty good day. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good to hear, mate. Thanks for joining. Yeah, hopefully we'll have fan cams next year and we'll get you on and we can chat about some more wins.
Yeah, hopefully.
No worries, mate. Take care, mate. See ya. All right. Now I've got lucky last here. We've got Catherine.
Hi, Jake.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yes, I'm good. I'm stoked about the win. That was awesome.
Yeah.
So good. So good. I apologize if this has already been asked because I was tuning in and out. What did you think of Brad Crouch's game?
I thought he was pretty good. I thought he was better than his last month. It backed up last week too. He had a really good game against Geelong and he kicked a couple of goals, but I wouldn't say that I noticed him a lot.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. I am worried. Like I love him. He's up there with my favourites. But I'm worried he will become what we are avoiding in Billings. So, you know, I don't care if you rack up 25, 30 disposals a game if they're ineffective and if I'm not noticing your contribution to the ground. Like, that's what I'm starting to worry a bit about him. I hope it's just, I don't know, maybe I was too caught up in the moment and the fact that we were winning and I wasn't really noticing, like, you know, all the drips and drabs I normally do in a loss. But I'm a bit worried about that element to our game and the midfield that we are trying to build. I don't want, like a Dunstan, if we're getting rid of Dunstan kind of situation.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, no one's actually brought that up. I guess he does find his own ball and he does take pressure off Steele for that inside ball position. And if you get rid of Dunstan, you get rid of Ross, you can't really get rid of Crouch because then it's Steele or nothing.
Yeah. Do you think we will get rid of Ross? Because I know that last year there were whispers about him going to the Bombers, but with the list and the, you know, the success that Bombers have had now, I really don't see them seeking Ross.
No, I don't think he'll go to Essendon. I don't think they'll even want him, to be honest. They've got a good young core of mids coming through.
Yeah.
maybe like a potentially like a Gold Coast, a team that needs a bit more
Okay.
experience, a bit more senior boys.
Yeah.
You could go there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so what is your stance on Billings as well, do you think?
I
the team's
think
maybe
that
maturing without him?
I think he'll stay. I don't know. I have a gut feel. I think he'll sign. I think that we might bite the bullet and pay him maybe a bit over what we should.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he'll stay. Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
I'm on the fence with Billings for sure.
Yeah.
Like, there's attributes of every single player that I like, but we've had him for how many years now, and now that you see the likes of Highmore, who has been bloody unreal, coming through, you're just kind of like, where is that space for Billings and for your Billings, for your Rosses, for potentially your Dan Hannabrys as well. Like, if we want to grow, how much maturity do we hold on to? It's like a really fine line between finding that balance. I don't know.
So you would trade him?
Yes, at this stage, yes, only because I really like how our, I don't know, how our youngsters look, especially with, Cooper Sharman today. Amazing. Yeah. I think Clav had a great game. Leo Connolly has been unreal. Burns. I loved Vitale's game. That's why I'm just kind of like, where does he fit in this equation? But I do like him, so it's hard.
It's risky because it's like, we could say, all right, let's get rid of him. We'd get like a pick 20 or something maybe back for a third pick that was supposed to be a superstar and hasn't been. Yeah. What if he went to another club and got fit, got confident, and just played amazing football? And you're like, why didn't we just give him another year?
And I can see Dunstan doing exactly that. Yeah. And last time we spoke as well, we were talking about Battle, and if he is potentially trade bait as well, I can also see him excelling. I don't know. It's really tricky, isn't it? Like, we can identify the gaps, but on paper we look like we've got such an elite list in order to fill the gaps. But then, when we're playing, it just doesn't quite mesh as well as we hoped it would.
Yeah. Plus, you need depth too, and if you get injuries again, and you've traded out all of Dunstan, Seb Ross, Billings, Dean Kent, these sort of guys.
Yeah.
You don't have them to plug the holes when other guys go down.
Yeah, that is right. So in terms of depth, small forwards, I mean, I thought, I would have heard it in the podcast to have this opinion, but, no good teams have 3 small forwards, and you guys are right in saying that. So who would you keep out of the 3?
So we've got Butler, Higgins, Dean Kent. Those are the 3 you're referring to? Oh, Catherine's frozen. God damn it. That was a good question.
Oh, there we go. Am I back?
Oh, you're back.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. I was like, oh no, she's not going to like my answer. Just frozen there. No. So Butler, Higgins, Dean Kent, those are the 3.
And Loney as well.
And Loney 4. Yeah, Loney I think's gone. I don't know. I have a feeling. Yeah. They would have played him today. Yeah. Why didn't they play him today?
I also thought the same thing. And Kent had a blinder. Like, he had
a good
best game that I think I've ever seen him play.
Yeah.
And, you just can't help but think. And I also had similar thoughts with Dunstan as well. Like, when he came back after the bye, I'm like, are you playing for your trade worth right now, or are you playing for the team? Like, you can't help but think, where is this, breakout come from? Where is this drive? And his tackling pressure, I thought, was unreal as well. I don't know. It's a tricky one. But
and Gresham too. Could Gresham, would you play him there? Would you play him in the midfield? Both when he comes back?
You'd like to think he's fit enough to play both.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a star who we've obviously been missing. But I'm so excited to have him back.
Are you like a lot of Saners that have messaged me, just a bit feeling a bit bittersweet about the result. A bit, damn, we deserve to play finals because our best football's really good.
Yeah, definitely. And especially, last week I was proud, but at the same time I'm like, oh my God, guys, it was like 14 points. So that kind of
close.
hurt. And, that could have been, like a 14-point margin. That could have been what brought us into the 8. I think our best football, it can beat Port, Brisbane, Sydney, like it's unreal. So those games that we've showed up and we've given it our 110%, I think because of that effort, we do deserve to, be a lot higher than what we finished. But at the same time, that is the same team that got absolutely demolished by Western Bulldogs. Oh, I was there, hated every second of it. And the Essendon game as well. So it's just, definitely bittersweet. Like, I'm very proud of the efforts where we have shown up and given that 110%. The Carlton game as well. Forgot about that. That was absolutely abysmal. But, I know. It's a bit,
That's what we have to get better at, though, isn't it? That consistency. Because one week we look $1 million. The next week we look like the shittest team in the league.
Yeah, and we lose to your Carltons.
Yeah.
Which is just, like the team that put on that show today, you wouldn't think that they'd lose to Carlton, and by the margin that we did as well.
Yeah. So do you have faith in the team? Do you trust the team next year that they won't make the same mistakes twice? They won't lose to Carlton. They won't lose to Adelaide. Do you believe that they'll fix that?
I really do. I try to be as positive as I can. Like, I'll never bet against us. I'll never tip against us.
Yeah.
I try to, every single week go in with a positive mindset, and next year, let's aim for top 4. Let's do it. Like,
you're calling.
I'm calling top 4. If we've got an easier fixture, because obviously that really, really hurt us this year. So with an easier fixture, with the likes of Gresh and Patton back, even Tommy Highmore is a huge out. And just get our young boys, have a massive preseason. But I remember you saying in the podcast as well, maybe we went too hard in the preseason. So if we can, avoid that, avoid injuries. We'll have Paddy Ryder back as well, which is obviously huge for Marshall.
Yep.
Develop
Geary, are you happy with Geary signing? Oh, I think it's rumoured that he's going to accept a 1-year extension. Are you happy with that?
I did hear that as well. Yes, I think from a leadership perspective, I think he's amazing. Geary and Hannah's, I feel like, are on a very similar path in that regard. I do think, though, the year that we've had, Jack Steele does have the capability to do it alone. I mean, he's Jack Steele. So I feel like maybe that mentality of signing him in for a 1-year contract was maybe just purely from a coaching and leadership perspective. But I would like to hope that we get to a point next year where our best 22, like, as much as he's served our club greatly and he used to be such a phenomenal player, he isn't in that top 22 because who comes out for him?
Yeah.
Like, I think every player has deserved.
When you look at our 22, a lot of other teams have 22s, and this doesn't really get talked about much, but a lot of teams have 22s that have been building together for 5-6 years, and then they hit their peak, and then they suddenly hit top 4 and they're a really good team, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at ours, today, Sharman, Higgins, Butler, I'll say Bytel because he was drafted a couple of years ago. Crouch, Jones, Hanbury, Claverino hasn't played football beyond this year, really. Burns, the same. Paul Hunter, that's already 10 players from today.
Yeah.
Howard's drafted in. Wilkie. There's all these players have been on there, haven't played together for more than a handful of games.
Yeah, that is so true.
We need a team out there that plays the same 18 players every week. Yeah.
You are spot on there. But, you can't help but think, like, with that mentality as well, what was so different last year that, we made finals and we essentially lost our shot at the grand final to Richmond, who ended up winning the premiership. So, like, a lot changed in that 6 months to show such a decline. Like, it is a really big ladder decline. But you're right, maybe it is just time. And, we do need to play the young the young players in order for them to, they're not going to develop in the twos. I watched plenty of VFL games this year. I'm lucky enough to live very close to the Sandringham ground. So, the games that I watched, as great as they are, like, I play footy as well. So I'm watching it and I'm like, these are like my senior girls playing. Like, you wouldn't like, because like I'm just a Resi's player, but they look like as good as my senior girls do. So I just wouldn't, you just don't think that like these players are going to develop as much as they should unless if they're on the big stage as well. So we just need to keep on allowing that opportunity. And even if it means resting Hannah's, resting Geary or whoever it might be, like McKernan as well and like your Paul Hunters, in order to give these young kids a go, then so be it.
And I guess that's the silver lining on the year is if we didn't have injuries and we didn't have those problems, then Burns wouldn't have gotten games. Connolly wouldn't have gotten games. We probably wouldn't even have picked up Sharman in the mid-season draft and played him. I'm probably missing Bytel. There's these guys that are getting games that they wouldn't have.
Yeah. I am so confused as to why Bytel didn't play every game this year. I know we had one injury, but other than that, he was admitted a couple of times and I think he definitely puts in 110%. He goes in for the second and the third efforts, which, I'm going to sound like, I really don't like the guy. I do like Dunstan, but if you compare their two games, I find that when it comes to second and third efforts and, even putting the shepherd on or the bump or going that extra mile, I feel like Bytel definitely does that in every single play that you see on the camera. Whereas I can't say that about, obviously still does that because, my God, he's invincible. But anyone else in our midfield, I don't know, I just feel like Bytel and Burns, they do go that extra mile. So I don't know why he didn't keep on getting games.
Well, he didn't do his selection next year a disservice because I'm looking at his stats for the year now and he's pretty much topped his stats in everything from today. So he's had his best game today. He kicked 2 goals, 17 touches, 7 tackles, 3 clearances. Like,
that's unreal.
Couldn't have asked for much. Yeah,
I think he is going to be an absolute superstar as well as Cooper Sharman. I was up and about every time he took a mark. I was like, this is insane.
He's going to be a star. I don't understand how he can play in the Sandford reserves and no other AFL team pick him up or talk about him or anything. And then when we get him, everyone's like, who the hell's this guy? Who is he? Is he going to be good?
He doesn't really look like a footballer too.
No.
I find like if I saw him walking down the street, I wouldn't think, oh yeah, he plays footy, which is good. It's always like, it's so good to be taken by surprise. And his hands were just, I don't think he missed a mark. That's probably me being a bit biased. He probably did. But every time I saw him, like I was watching him get the ball, I'm like, he's got super glue on there or something. They just wouldn't leave his hands.
Even when he doesn't mark it and it like bounces in front of him, he can just grab it and he just gives the handball really quickly or he taps it along. He's just smart. We need more like that.
Yeah, he's definitely got a lot of footy smarts and you can see his leads as well. Like it's just, it's something about those group of young boys that we've mentioned. They do put in that. And maybe it is because they're fighting for the spot, whereas our other more mature players might be more comfortable and a bit more complacent. But you can see them yelling, you can see them lead, you can see them pointing to where they want the ball. And I know, like, I see Brad Hill and Dukes and Wilkie do that a fair bit, but I can also, see a few players that don't make those kind of leads and, communicate as well as these young players are, which is exciting though, because it's good that our youth are maybe setting an example of, what they want the older ones to do.
Yep. Well, I feel like they're going to be a big reason why we're going to hopefully climb the ladder next year.
Yes.
And
top 4.
Well, like you said, top 4 easy. I personally would be happy with top 8, but I think I tipped top 6 this year and I was a bit off by really only a game and a half off.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at the ladder.
Is that to think? Yeah.
Yeah.
In September, the first thing I do is like I hop on Sportsbet and I put a couple of bucks on us to win the flag. I've been doing that my whole life. So 23 years I haven't gotten any money back, but next year I'm waiting for a big payout. You'll make it all up. Exactly. But it'll just be good to, get to go to games hopefully next year as well and be there to support the boys. Fingers and toes crossed on that one.
It's not looking good, but yeah, hopefully we can. I mean,
Yeah.
it just doesn't look like it's going to happen for the next 10 years with everything, all the protests and stuff, but
No, it is
we'll
just
see.
nuts, isn't it? It's a crazy world we're living in right now.
Yeah. Catherine, give me your one word to describe season 2021.
Oh, I was thinking about this because I heard you ask everyone else. I just want to say inconsistent. Yeah. I'm going to say
I would have said the same thing. Inconsistent,
Yeah.
or I would have just said roller coaster. Because we had everything. We had some really good wins. We had some pretty okay wins, some heartbreaking losses, and then some really shitty
Definitely.
smashings.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Inconsistent. But, you know, like I said, our best footy can beat absolutely anyone any day of the week. So we just need to give that, and then invincible. That's all we are.
That's it. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks for joining again.
Thank you so much. Of course.
That's all right. And
Looking forward
hopefully
to
next
hearing
year.
the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get the podcast out on Tuesday.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I'm looking forward to hearing it. Always on the way to work.
We'll at least have it for the next few weeks. I know a lot of people are a bit worried that we'll just turn it off, but we'll try and get a few more episodes out, and then trade news will kick in as well. So we'll do that as well.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Catherine. Thanks for joining. Enjoy the rest of your
Take
weekend.
care.
See ya. There you have it, guys. That is it. That was a long day. That was a long day of Saints TV. First, it was the match day live, or the game day live with Marshy, which was awesome. And then after that, the review, and now the fan cam. So hopefully you enjoyed it. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed on YouTube, liked Facebook, Instagram, the Twitter accounts, all that stuff, especially because in the off season, I'll be doing a lot more exclusive content to those platforms. So make sure you don't miss out on them. You follow them and you'll get notified when they come out. But I'll leave it there. It was great to see the boys celebrate a win today. They really deserved it after such a shitty year. It was good to just see them off with some smiles and some goals. And hopefully you all enjoyed the content as well. And yeah, that's it for fan cams for the year. That's it for reviews and previews and all that. I really appreciate all of your support. So thanks for tuning in live or on YouTube or any other platform. As I said, I'll keep the content rolling out. But in terms of fan cams and not all that sort of content, that'll be on hold until 2022, Sainers. So we'll get planning and I'll get thinking. And if you've got any ideas for the channel or content you want to see more of, let me know and I'll be happy to consider. But until then, thanks for tuning in, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and go you mighty Sainers. See you guys.